Steven Crowder yesterday published portions of the Nashville Manifesto, helping us understand the motivations behind why this individual took the lives of these children and faculty members in Nashville. And what we learned was that anti-white hatred was a component. Now, it is believed there's more to this story, that there's more to this manifesto. And I'm not quite sure if Crowder will be releasing more information, but he is saying, stay tuned to what we to see what we put out today. The big news, however, the censorship industrial complex, the government ties to it, and how the government is actively subverting our First and Second Amendment rights. That's right. Second Amendment is right in there. The latest news, YouTube removes Steven Crowder's reporting on trans Nashville shooter Manifesto, claiming violation of violent criminal organizations policy. Fascinating. And what is this about? Well, to be honest, I can never tell you definitively. I can give you my opinions. What we have here is a component in a story about the suppression of the First Amendment. Yesterday, it was also widely reported the GOP came out with an assessment of the weaponization on the Weaponization Committee. Big tech colluding with government to censor many prominent anti-establishment figures. Now, they say conservative. And it's interesting because I was one of these individuals that was targeted by this organization, and I'll show you that evidence. And it looks like the intent was to suppress information. We're seeing it now. The larger component here. Why would they want to suppress information on the motivation of this shooter? I believe it's because by controlling the narrative around DEI and far leftist ideology, they can push this towards the guns. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am proud to announce the release of Infringed on Timcast.com. Go to Timcast.com to watch the documentary by Lauren Southern and John Dutoit discussing, breaking down the issue of gun rights in America. And it discusses these tragedies. You see, here's what happens. The issue at hand that many of us have been discussing has been institutions promoting violence, promoting racial segregation, promoting tribal hatred and extremism. And they have been censoring us the entire time. We've discovered this. I mean, the story breaks in 2016 when it was reported by Gizmodo that Facebook was removing information from conservative sources. With this story now about the manifesto in Nashville, the portions of it we've received, we can see that this extremist far left ideology, critical race theory, and its other deep components, of which I believe general Marxist critical theory plays a big role in this, was the motivating factor as to why this individual committed these acts. Sans this explanation, the media reports nothing, and the leftist personalities, I shouldn't say leftist, the liberal personalities on TV say it's the guns. The reality? It's the DEI narrative of critical race theory that motivated this psychotic individual. It is extremist identitarianism. So go to Timcast.com, watch the documentary. It is absolutely fantastic. Some of the best work, I might say, from Lauren Southern and John Dutoit. And we're really excited about this. They'll be joining us tonight to talk about what's going on. But I think it's important to understand that what we're seeing here with this story, the censorship of Steven Crowder, what Crowder did is some of the most important investigative journalism we've seen this year, breaking down what is happening in this country and why. How do we solve our problems if we don't know what the problems are? YouTube says you are not allowed to report this. Absolutely fascinating. Now, you may be asking yourselves, oh, hold on there, Tim. Your video is up. You break this down. You explain it. Yes, I am giving you my, let's just call it auditory opinion on the matter. I'm not actually showing you the hard documents. This is, I often say this, the goal of my show is to discuss my thoughts on the news, present you the information, try and fact check things. But I'm not breaking the story and showing the manifesto. I say, go watch Steven Crowder for this stuff. Steven Crowder gets the video removed from YouTube and images removed. I don't know if it was their post, but Facebook also censored this. They are suppressing the right of independent media to do investigative journalism. It is the right of individuals to share this information that is of the utmost public importance and is newsworthy. And I think they're doing it because they want to, one, They're outright silencing you. The GOP has proven this now, and I'll go through that report as well. But they also want to take away your right to keep and bear arms. They want to control the narrative. That's why this manifesto was suppressed. They keep saying it's the guns, it's the guns. It's not. In fact, I think it's fair to say, we discussed this last night on Timcast IRL, a lot of people on the right say it's the SSRIs, it's the mind-altering drugs, and I don't think that's true either. I really don't. Tens of millions of people are prescribed medication, and they are not this. What I think we see here is there are disturbed individuals who are violent. We need to stop them, but it's not guns, it's not drugs. It is some people are just unwell, and we need to figure out how to stop them. But they don't want it. They don't want the narrative to be that, look, a centralized security state may not be able to protect you. They want the narrative to be hand over your right to keep and bear arms. The Post-Millennial reports Steven Crowder dropped a bombshell on Louder with Crowder on Monday morning, making public pages from what's become known as the Nashville Shooters Manifesto. He showed pages from that alleged manifesto. It's not alleged anymore. They're saying alleged, but we have confirmation. Post-Millennial even reported this, and a local government is saying they're wondering how these images got out. In fact, in the images, it looks like these are photographs collected from the scene where you can see someone wearing the purple gloves, probably collecting evidence. After he aired the photographs of 3 handwritten sheets of loose leaf paper, YouTube took it down, sending a message to Crowder, which he shared on free speech platform X. I love that. We wanted to let you know our team reviewed your content, and we think it violates our violent criminal organization's policy, YouTube said, conflating the release of primary source information obtained by an investigative journalist and an actual crime syndicate. We know you may not have realized it's a violation of our policies, so we're not applying a strike to your channel. However, we have removed the following content from YouTube and the listed copy editor, guys, and listed the shocking episode containing details about the shooter's motivations. Delisted, I believe they meant to say. And even a FOIA request could not spring loose from an FBI and police department, blah, 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 blah. Hale stole the lives of 3 children and 3 adult faculty members at the school after breaking in and opening fire. We realize this may be disappointing news, YouTube explained, but it's our job to make sure that YouTube is a safe place for all. If you think we've made a mistake, you can appeal this decision. You can find more decisions below. I want to stress this. You may have noticed that my videos, everything's blurred. I don't show the manifesto. Let's increase the blur level just for safety there. And I blur these images. You know, look, I don't have any privy information as to what YouTube's policies are or are not going to be. And I think it's entirely possible my video and this video may be taken down for the exact same thing. It is strange to me that I can read and explain what it was about and the video stays up. I think it's specifically because Crowder showed it. That's the only explanation, or they haven't removed my videos yet. But I'm sorry, my friends. I've got my lines and my limits. We must report on these stories. This is one of the biggest stories of the year, broken by Steven Crowder. And what's going to happen? When local news affiliates begin showing the manifesto, because it's confirmed now, then Facebook and YouTube will allow it? Probably. But this is the machine. We have this story from yesterday. Facebook censors Nashville shooter manifesto. Your post may go against our community standards. And it's exactly what we saw with the Hunter Biden laptop. This is the dirty game they play. Corrupt individuals in big tech and government suppress real information that you need to better understand your rights. Why? They want to own you. You have owners. That's what George Carlin said. They own you. It's a bold statement from Carlin. A bit heavy. I want to make sure I get this in so you can see. Local media outlet confirms the manifesto pages are authentic. I want to make sure that's shown. Fox 17 confirmed through a source the pages are authentic. We've got, this story here. Nashville mayor's office is investigating the images leaked, wondering how it could have happened, which is a tacit confirmation. They said, wait a minute. These are the actual images from evidence. How did this happen? This information is extremely important. So why? Why has it been censored by these outlets, by big tech? Remember the Hunter Biden laptop story, my friends? The Hunter Biden laptop story, 2020. It was true. It was an October surprise. It is what it is. And we are learning more and more every day about the shady business dealings of Joe Biden. We have, let me pull up this one for you from Politico. Hunter Biden's story is Russian disinfo, dozens of former intel officials say. Fake news. They lied. Why? Because they did not want you, the American people, to be adequately and accurately informed as to the individuals running for the highest office in this country. They wanted to trick you into voting for a corrupt individual who would serve their interests. It's criminal. It is seditious. Yet we are watching it in real time. And when they come out and they say that Joe Biden he was lying about this, more evidence, cash payments, understand. This is a deeply corrupt individual with hard evidence of corruption and ties to shady foreign business deals, and former intelligence officials lied over and over again, and with their allies at big tech and in the media suppressed a major story. Why? To suppress your rights. And this is exactly what we are seeing right now. In fact, I will say this. The reporting that we are getting over all of this is the biggest story, maybe the biggest domestic story of the year. Because what are we learning? A seditious conspiracy. Efforts. Look at this story from the Post-Millennial. President Trump, Jack Posobiec, Charlie Kirk, prominent conservatives censored on social media during 2020 election. New bombshell House report reveals. Facts, facts, facts. We know it. Lawsuit for lawsuit. Revelation. All of this ties together. There is an illicit, unconstitutional, and seditious conspiracy between the federal government and big tech corporations, probably news media, to lie, cheat, and steal, to trick you into giving up your rights or to suppressing your rights or voting in criminals and corrupt individuals. The story today. Steven Crowder's First Amendment rights suppressed on YouTube. Why? Highly dubious. They'll say, but it's a private company. YouTube can do whatever they want. Why did local government lie about the manifesto? They said it was incoherent ramblings. No real motivation. Now we know. Anti-white propaganda. This is overt suppression of our First Amendment rights. The right of news media to report, and with the suspension of Steven Crowder, or I should say the banning of this video. This is a direct attack on the First Amendment. Now, does this mean that YouTube and Facebook teamed up with government for this specific banning? I don't know. What we do know from the GOP is that they did. They've done this. Non-public documents and information from Stanford. Basically, how did it work? It's really simple. The federal government had this network. They would send information to big tech and big tech would comply. Big tech was having regular meetings. In fact, I think Elon Musk even said that Twitter was functioning as a tool of the state. Suppression of Republicans was 10 times heavier than Democrats. They want to take away your right to free speech. And when they take away these stories and ban them on the motivations of the Nashville shooter, what we learn, as I stated earlier, the cause of this, the extremist ideology, anti-white, and it's also about Marxist theory. The shooter was saying that she did not like the white privileged kids, but also talked about their fancy private schools and fancy khakis. It was an oppressed versus oppressor narrative. This is the narrative they want. This is the narrative they push, the Marxist narrative. They also want to be able to take away from the public sphere discussions about the dangers of this extremist ideology. And they want to put the focus on guns to take away your right to keep and bear arms. Go to timcast.com, front page, Lauren Southern's Infringed. Watch it today. I want to stress this for all of you. People are saying, Daily Wire saw this with What is a Woman? People are like, make it free, make it free. It costs a lot of money to make these, and we're going to make more. And you know what else we're doing? When you go to timcast.com and you sign up to become a member right now, and you watch this documentary, I'm going to make sure this is very clear for all of you. How do I personally make money? The pay that I receive comes almost exclusively from this show and only the ad revenue. The amount I pay myself is covered only by my Tim Pool Daily Show morning videos. The podcast version and these videos, that's my take home. I produce all of these on my own, almost entirely. There's a little bit of help here and there because it's, there's always a bleed through, and a shout out to the crew. But Timcast.com membership, it's funding the crew, it's paying for these documentaries, and we are going to go ham on marketing for this. I believe in the right to keep and bear arms and defend yourself. Why? What we learn from these stories, like in Nashville, is that, look, man, I appreciate to a degree a centralized security apparatus, police and law enforcement, judges listening and trying to determine what is and what isn't so we can be fair. Not perfect. Law enforcement trying to be neutral arbiters in conflict that we see in the streets and rushing in, like we saw these officers in Nashville, rushing into danger and stopping a violent mass murderer. But there has to be a degree of responsibility on the individual, so we cannot hyper-centralize security. Otherwise, you get these things. The data shows it. The membership at timcast.com helps fund these documentaries and the marketing apparatus behind it. We are running ads on YouTube. We're going to be running ads on YouTube, Facebook, X, across the board, promoting this documentary. So that means each and every cent that we pay to run these ads are also defending and supporting and promoting the right to keep and bear arms. That's what a Timcast membership is. That's why we made this documentary. They're trying to censor us. Here's the report. Let me give you a little bit of information from the Post-Millennial. In a startling revelation, U.S. Rep. Jim Jordan of Ohio has revealed a concerted effort involving the federal government, purported disinformation experts from academic institutions, big tech companies, and other parties collaborating through the Election Integrity Partnership to monitor and suppress American citizens' freedom of speech during the 2020 election. The House report entitled The Weaponization of Disinformation Pseudo-Experts and Bureaucrats, how the federal government partnered with universities to censor Americans' political speech. Here you go. This is a snippet from my Wikipedia page, and it says, a report from the Election Integrity Partnership said that Poole, that's me, was a super spreader of fake news surrounding voter fraud before and after the 2020 U.S. presidential election. Did they say what that fake news was? They don't. They don't. And so there's just an opinion. There's no statement of fact. What am I supposed to say to that? This is the dirty game they play. Why? You see, the reason they targeted me was because during 2020, before the election and during the lawsuit cycle, I stated that here are the questions being presented and here are the arguments from Trump. Here are the arguments against. That meant a narrative emerged showing a fair view of what the right and the left were arguing in court. And my position, it must be heard in court. I stated the moment Joe Biden was declared the winner that Trump lost. I stated every single time these fraud narratives, they're absurd. They're over the top. But what did I actually push back on? When Donald Trump and his team were filing lawsuits, I said, here are the lawsuits and here are their claims. Wow, if that's true, a judge needs to answer for these. The narrative run by the media was that Trump lost every court case. It's not correct. Most of these court cases were dismissed on standing, which meant the courts never heard the merit. What does that mean? The judge said, you can't file this lawsuit. That's it. Did the judge say, actually, Trump was wrong? No. On the merits, actually, Trump's legal team won many of them. And then they argued, but each individual case did not mean enough to affect the outcome of an election. I'm not saying Trump was correct, but you had Texas v. Pennsylvania, a major national level lawsuit involving, I believe, 48 states. And the Supreme Court said, we don't care. So for this, oh, no, Tim Pool's fake news. He's fake news. Uh-oh. All of my reporting is NewsGuard certified. And NewsGuard, I think, is biased, but it's their official assessment of what's true or what's not. That's the way to judge it, I guess. They give the New York Times, CNN, all of them. They get these great scores, despite the fact they publish fake news too. And that's it. That's the bias in the system. But also, I say, okay, let's play your game. I'll use your sources. And they still lie. This is the important thing about what we are doing and what we must do. I want to give the utmost shout out to Steven Crowder and his team. This is tremendous work. Some of the most important investigative journalism that was done. Steven Crowder's team vetted this information. And I and many others said, we're going to need more. Do we have more confirmation on this? A single source is not perfect. People can be hoaxed. But guess what? Local Fox 17 confirms its authenticity. Local government is scrambling. Crowder nailed it. And so they suppress him. Shout out to Mug Club and Mug Club members and everybody who became a member to support Crowder and made all of that possible. And I'll say this right now. We at Timcast, we may not be breaking massive stories like that, though we have broken our share of stories where we can. We are producing documentaries and expanding and fighting for culture. So I really, really do want to shout out today, as we have just launched, Lauren Southern's Infringed, a documentary breaking down these tragic events, explaining gun laws and gun rights. Go to timcast.com, become a member, and I will say it again. I do well for myself. I do. But when I pay myself, it comes from me producing almost entirely on my own, 99%, these morning segments and the morning podcast. It generates ad revenue, and that's it. That money pays me, pays my salary. When you become a member at timcast.com, what does that money do? Pays for the crew, for the infrastructure, the staff, and the profits generated go towards building culture. Our coffee shop project, documentaries like this is our second documentary. Our first, Game of Money, discusses the Fed and the financial system. And now we have a documentary breaking down gun rights, and we are going to be dumping money into marketing. I'll tell you this. Hopefully the marketing makes more people sign up. We get bigger. We will make more documentaries. We will make more shows. We will push back and we will win that culture war. Right now, as I've shown you, Jack Posobiec, Trump Jr., Charlie Kirk, the Babylon Bee, Dave Rubin, all of these people were targeted. Candace Owens, with government suppression. To what degree they targeted me, I know they lied about what I was put out to discredit my work and the work of my team. How do we fight back? Well, of course, you've got great people like Tom Fitton. They targeted him as well. And Judicial Watch filing their lawsuits. You've got the GOP government Overwatch to the best of their abilities. Watchdog, what they're doing. And then you have pushing back directly. Your support of Steven Crowder. Your support, I know they're at odds, of the Daily Wire. Your support of Timcast.com. They cannot stop us. This is what I say about Timcast IRL. People often tell us that even though they watch every single day, 8 p.m. live, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, YouTube won't notify them. They don't get the notification emails. They don't get notified on YouTube, even though they've subscribed, hit the little bell. Some people say they go to the page and the live video isn't even there, despite the fact we are live. This is them actively trying to stop us. But you know what? You can use an algorithm to suppress. You can try. But in spite of all of that, we succeed. When you share, when you donate, when you just watch, they cannot shut it down. Now, of course, they can delete the video from Steven Crowder. So what does he do? He's on Rumble, baby. And I want to stress this to everybody. All of our videos are on Rumble too. In fact, we use Rumble infrastructure for everything. So let me stress this point too. Look, man, we are going to win this one. We are exposing them every single day. And I don't mean just Timcast. I mean Steven Crowder. And again, I know they're at odds, but the Daily Wire, the Rumble team, shout out to Chris Pavlovsky and everything he has built, Dan Bongino, Charlie Kirk, and everyone behind what Rumble's working on. And I will tell you this. Go to timcast.com, click join us, and what do you see? What do you see? When you become a member, we use Parallel Economy. What is that? It's a financial transaction service that facilitates your $10 between you and Timcast. They are censorship resistant. I'd say proof, but I don't think anyone's perfect. But this is a Dan Bongino. I believe Dan Bongino is a big investor in this. Rumble is a big investor in this. We are building that parallel economy. Public Square, download their app. They've sponsored Timcast in the past, sponsored our live event. We are doing everything everything to win this one. And I think we're going to. And what happens when we do? Your life will get better. This country's future will get better. The lives of your children will be better. They want control. That's all that matters. They want you living in the pod and eating the bugs. Why? What does it mean to be all about money? Do I care about money? I don't. So one thing you never tell any of your investors, but we don't have, the only investors we actually have are technically just the members. But let me tell you, money is access. Money is power. Money is freedom. There's a lot of things that it does. And what can it do? No amount of suppression and censorship can stop you if you have influence. So what did they try to do? It wasn't enough. Money wasn't enough. They could buy you out. But some people would say, absolutely not. My principles, my morals are not for sale. So they would suppress and censor. That's what they're doing now. And then what happens? People like Dan Bongino, Charlie Kirk, Chris Pavlovsky, they build Rumble. Dave Rubin builds locals. Rumble integrates, and the parallel economy expands. Michael Seifert and his team at Public Square create the anti-Amazon, where you can see all the companies in your area that support your values because they can't control us. And they'll try. But I think they're going to lose the more and more they do. I can tell you this. We are a ragtag bunch here at Timcast. We are not the polished machine that is the Daily Wire. We are not the staunch, large, entertaining conservative show like Louder with Crowder, but we are what we are. We've got the typically the largest live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Each and every one of us has our massive successes. The Daily Wire is about 20 to 30 times bigger than we are, but we are doing what we can to ensure that while we may disagree, your rights, our rights, will be protected. And let me just say, it's looking good, and it's looking bright for our future. The hard work of Steven Crowder and his team has just broken one of his major stories. The slim victory in 2022 has gotten us this information released, and now we're learning. Thanks in part to the efforts of all of the culture warriors, everyone I've named already, and many more. Shout out to everybody. Donald Trump is leading Joe Biden in 5 of 6 swing states. Biden voters are angry. Young voters are saying they're not coming out. You know what's funny? The argument is that TikTok is promoting Palestine, pro-Palestine. Guess what? Joe Biden's pro-Israel. So the young people are saying they're not going to vote for Joe Biden. It may be that if we keep this up, we speak our minds, we build these machines, we may actually see that hard reform. And I'm not talking about the Republican Party. I don't like the Republican Party. No, I'm talking about Donald Trump, his revenge. I'm talking about Matt Gaetz. We need more Matt Gaetzes. Even Cenk Uygur was talking about how he liked what Matt was doing in terms of challenging money and politics in the machine. This is what we need. And with the primary battles, with more America First, more populist candidates, I think we're going to win. And you know why we need to? This country is on the precipice of social collapse. Maybe it's already gone over. We're on the brink of World War III with escalation in the Middle East. And I'm hoping it can all be avoided. I'm hoping that by the end of next year, in just about 1 year's time, the news breaks that Donald Trump is elected. Russia simmers down saying, we know that Trump is going to negotiate. The machine panics, the establishment panics, and they run for the hills. And this country starts to weed out the deep, deep corruption that we have seen. I'm hoping. And I think we can do it with your support. So shout out again to Steven Crowder for breaking this news, his team. And I will say it. I will stress it. Go to timcast.com. Click the link in the description below. Watch Infringed. Get informed. Share the documentary. Yeah. It's $10 to be a member at timcast.com. Maybe you can't go out and be an activist. That's okay. Maybe you can't go out and protest in Meat World, physical space. That's fine. Maybe you are too scared to speak up and share your views. It's unfortunate, and I wish you would. But at the very least, what I will say is this. It's not just about us. It's not just about any one player here. Do what you can. $10 a month at timcast.com, and we'll make these documentaries. And if you share them, it's powerful. But at the very least, you become a member. We will use your membership and your funding to win the culture war. You can also become a member of Mug Club. Shout out to Steven Crowder. You can also become a member at the Daily Wire. Hey, I know a lot of people are critical of Ben Shapiro's stance on war and Israel. A lot of people are critical of the Daily Wire. But I'm telling you, we are all going to disagree. What matters is we all are fighting for the right to speak freely, our constitutional rights. And the last thing I want to say is, because I'm all about the transparency, I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying that I don't benefit from you being a member in terms of my personal income and net worth. That is not what I'm trying to say. Every project we do that builds this company up is valuable and increases the value of the company. So I do personally benefit from all of it. Understand that. I am not trying to make it seem like we're a nonprofit here. No. We are a for-profit organization. But I am sincere when I say I pay myself a rate based on, I believe, to be fair, slightly less than the revenue generated just from the morning show. Because I feel like that's fair. I do this show. If I only did this show, I'd make the ad revenue on my own. And if someone came to me today and said, I'll give you $1 billion, what would you buy? I'd say I'd win the culture war. I'm not saying I literally could. But the money I'd spend, I'd hire more documentary producers. I'd fund TV shows. We would do comedy. We would push back. We would push back. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. Every investment we make to grow the business, selling cast brew coffee, it's because we want physical spaces where we can say, you know what I want to do? I see these Starbucks, they put their leftist propaganda in the windows. You know what we're going to do at Casper? We're going to put Molan Labe in the windows. We're going to put Gadsden flags in the windows. And we're going to have those locations everywhere across the country. That's my dream. And you know what? The people who are helping run the coffee shop, I hope they get rich. I hope each and every person who is involved in building this culture, I hope Steven Crowder makes $100 million. I hope he buys himself a McLaren and a Lotus and a Model S Plaid and whatever it is he wants. I don't know. What's the good car these days? You know why? Because I want to send a message to each and every one of these people working who are only interested in money or whatever, that we will control the access. What I mean? A young person may only be motivated by getting rich. But guess what? If you want to succeed, if you want to be wealthy, be like Steven Crowder. Be like Tim Pool. Be like Styx Hexenhammer. Be like Chris Pavlovsky. Be like Elon Musk. Support American values, meritocracy, individual liberties, and you can live like a king. That's the message we want to send to young people. The path to success is in American values, freedom, family, etc. So let's get it. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.